energize me to put that work back into it. And as I have said in previous episodes also, it's the dom's job to put at least twice as much work in as your submissive. Lead by example. If I am going to ask someone to do something, then I had better be willing to do the required work myself. If I'm going to, whatever it is, paint the house, lose weight, no matter what it is, flog somebody, well, then I better put the work in to learn the proper techniques to do that. I have a thing about single tail or double, any type of whip, no matter how many tails, until you get up to like actual floggers, but single, double, triple, whatever, that I will not use them because I have not put the work in to learn that particular skill, and you can really hurt somebody. So for me, that's a hard limit. Now, if I met someone who is really into that and really, really wanted me to learn that skill, then that would definitely be a consideration. One of the big reasons is because I haven't found a good teacher for that. So if I did, then just out of sheer curiosity, I would probably get involved in that anyway, as long as it was somebody close that I could learn from. So that's just an example. So what happens when these rights, remember, things that are inherently yours, are used as bargaining tools? Oh, Sachi. Hello. Glad you could join us. What happened, and I'm glad that you came in because this is one of the episodes that you and I had talked about. This is the rights versus privileges. So, yay. So what happens when rights are used as bargaining tools? Unfortunately, it's something that occurs very, very frequently, and this is in any type of relationship, from the whitest of vanilla to the kinkiest of kinky. Sometimes it's intentional, and other times it happens because no one involved is really paying attention until it's too late, and resentments and animosity, it's already there. And this should be happening less in a BDSM relationship than in a vanilla relationship, just because if you're doing it correctly, then you're going to communicate. Now, if you're in a vanilla relationship and you're doing it correctly, you're going to communicate there too, but it doesn't seem to be as effective in my personal history. And most people that I speak with, I don't want to hurt them, so I'm not going to tell them that. Well, in BDSM, I'm not going to hurt them takes on a whole nother meaning. So it's very, very important to me in both worlds, but it happens more in one than it does in the other, as my experience would go. So you've got this resentment building. In other cases, outside of just building up resentments, it does turn to abuse. One of the reasons that I like a strong, not bratty, but a strong submissive is because they're not afraid to bring things up that need to be talked about that I may not be seeing. Again, I'm not perfect. I do not claim to be perfect. I certainly don't know it all. But just because I do have some experience, again, that I'm just not perfect. And I like a sub that is also experienced enough to bring up the truly important issues that someone who is new may kind of shy away from because they're still thinking it's all about pleasing the dom. It's all about pleasing the dom. And yes, and God, I'm grateful for that. You know, it it's just a great feeling. I can't waves waves back. I can't really put it to words right this minute. Just thinking about it, sometimes it can actually be, and some people, well, that's not a very Domly thing to say, which is a ridiculous thing that someone has said to me recently. But sometimes you can become so touched by, and I don't mean physically, no pun intended here, but so touched by how you're treated by your submissives that it can be hard to put it in words. And that's when you know you really need to throw a collar on that one quick. That's a good one. Anyway, let's see. So of course, shine away from these issues. I always try to provide an environment where there is no fear of punishment for things said during check-in. Some are still too timid to bring up certain things, and that goes back to the to what is a dominant or what is a top, and what are some of the common mistakes that they make. Check-ins, there's no punishments that come from that. You are on equal ground, and that is just wrong. That is, a check-in is their right, and that needs to be respected. They should not be punished for what they're saying to you, because even though it may hit your ego the wrong way, there's no place for egos in a DS relationship or in a top bottom when you're scening or something like that. If somebody says it was good, but you could have done this better, your last thought should be, well, I'll show you, and jerk them up and, give them a little manhandling, throw them back up on the St. Andrew's cross or whatever the case may be, and just go to town on them. No, that's, you may ask them, well, do you want to go back into it? Do you want to re-enter a scene and I'll try to do better? You want to play again later or what? If you communicate and you're understanding of the situation and you're not breaking their rights, then maybe they'll give you another shot. So, all right. I feel though I'm kind of leaving something out there. Oh, yes, the on-the-floor check-ins. Thank you. Sarah in the chat room says that she likes the idea of the on-the-floor check-ins that I've spoke about in my previous episodes, and that is a huge thing to me, making sure that I remind myself that I'm humbled before them as they are humbled before me, and that we're on equal ground, so that we can be at that same level and provide an open environment for open communication. So, how to use privileges as effective motivators. It's pretty obvious to most people how to do this. Anybody that has kids, you can kind of figure this out, but I'm going to hit it anyway. So, actions of going above and beyond can be rewarded. Normally, I'm all about the importance of consistency, but when it comes to using privileges as a reward, I'm intentionally and systematically inconsistent. Now, Suchi, I visited her a few weeks ago, not for play. She's a very good friend of mine. We've known each other since we were little kids, went to school together. And She's like, "Oh, I hate that." Yep. Most subs do. That's why I do it. And the reason that I do that, why I'm intentionally and systematically inconsistent, is very simple. I don't want the privilege to be thought of as a right. Um, it's that simple. I don't want the privilege to become the norm. When this happens, it is no longer thought of as a privilege, but as a right, and it's something that becomes expected. When this happens, that's when you've got a lot of conflict and confusion. Why wouldn't my sub expect it if I'm granting that privilege or reward every single time they do some little special thing? I do enjoy giving privileges. I do enjoy rewarding. It makes me feel really good because it shows that my hard work is paying off because their behavior is worthy of reward. They're going above and beyond because I am. They're following my lead. So I'm very particular in how I will do that. I may give a major reward for something really, really small. Or I may not give a reward for something very big. And it's because I want it to be very understood that when it comes, it is a reward. It is a privilege. It is not a right. And that comes from history, my personal past. Not so distant past at that, where rewards were granted way too much and just become expected. And it wasn't her fault at all. It was mine. So, moving on to when it comes to, still under this privileges as effective motivators. So, when it comes to submissive training tools, this can be a great thing. And here, consistency truly is the key. So, when it is something that is involving a specific type of training that you're doing, yes, that consistency is very, very important. And I kind of think about it like training a dog with a treat and a clicker. After a while, you can take away the treats and just use the clicker. But you could use interesting little things. And I'm not saying use a clicker on your sub unless you just really want to. It's your sub, as long as they've consented to it. So let's say I had a 24/7 live-in sub, and she wanted more than anything for me to sleep in her bed for the night. Now that's, and that's very common, of course. Now I am married, and I have already discussed this with my wife that I will use that as a very, very special reward or training tool. So, I sleep in the bed with my wife. My sub would have her room, her own bed. However, under special circumstances, that would be used as a reward. That I spend the night in there if that was something that they felt was rewarding. As much as I snore, I don't know why anybody would, but, whatever. Excuse me. All right, so... and that would come if very, very special reward. What would that be? If there was particular training that they were having just a terrible struggle with, we'd set up smaller goals maybe to help them go through it. It really depends on what it would be, but that's always a good thing to do. To tops or DOMs that really are new to this, make sure that you're not setting yourself and your submissive up for failure. Again, you're the leader, So make sure that the goals that are being set are obtainable goals.